Frank, I didn't have a chance to speak enough. I finished it 2 last night. I'm doing one for team, but what it is that this is a big thing. So if one person just takes one.
How are you, Judy? Long time no see.
Basically, this is what she's got. So you can see what the slide is going to be at the time that you're talking. You can it's okay. That's all right. However you want to do it. But
it's exactly the same.
Well, he maybe made some changes.
There was like a few things, forgot an of or an a or something, like that. Let's see, what else did one thing that I did where it said, okay, so was Bob's team the Beaver Casters? I mean, was that his team? Beaver Casters. So that if we say, if I say his team, the Beaver Casters, made it.
They're all right behind me. We set them right up front. Not Bob, but yeah. Okay. I don't want to get started. Do we have to get started? If everybody could get seated, we'll get started. If you haven't signed in yet, please do so. Make sure that you pick up a red door prize ticket for later. This is today's agenda. We'll try to follow it as closely as we can. Pat, our secretary, would you take care of the minutes from last meeting?
Thank you, Madam President. On your tables in front of you, I know you've all read the line of the minutes of last year's annual meeting of the membership of the Pacific Northwest Barbecue Association. You can take them with you and test us later if you like. If not, we will call for a vote. A show of hands is appropriate. And the question on the floor is, all in favor of accepting the minutes from the 2013 annual meeting of the Pacific Northwest Barbecue Association, signify by raising your hands as a signal of aye. Thank you. Any opposed? Please show that same sign. Any abstaining? Same sign. It's Madam President, and you obviously have a form. That's the only vote we make. Amen.
Yes. Welcome you all to the 2014 PNWBA annual meeting, and thank you for attending. I understand it's pretty nasty out there today. It was for us last night coming in, so I'm glad you got here safely. My name is Jane Beal. For those of you who haven't seen me at a contest or at other meetings, I'm the president, and I'd like to introduce my officers and board members that are here. Tom Wallen, Vice President, PNWBA. Yes, he deserves applause. Pat Maddox, Secretary. Paul Winger, our Treasurer. And we have board members Greg Vigino, Michael Eckert, Chris Kelly, and Rick Moy. To get the important stuff out of the way, we have ash cans out this hallway. Restrooms are located down that way. In the hall. We have lunch at 1 o'clock, and we'll break for about an hour. And yes, I did do put the minutes in the wrong place. Paul Winger, our treasurer, would like to give his financial report.
Might look familiar. I just used a template Kim used last year to save myself a little bit of time. First public speaking in about 30 years, so I may take a little time to compose myself from time to time. Before I started, I wanted to thank a few people that really contributed to helping me feel comfortable in doing this job. Tom helped me with the budgeting at the beginning of the year when I had to do the first time, and that was very helpful. Kim Ositis, of course, helped train me. Charlotte Henry has some nonprofit experience, and when I was preparing for this, I was able to call on her for some bouncing ideas off of and making sure that I'm thinking of things right. Pat's been very supportive, and I appreciate that. As far as our interactions with the Feed the Troops, it's been good. And Chris Kelly too, man. Chris just has a real good energy, and I really appreciate what you know, how he's helped me when I've needed to talk some things over about the organization. So with that said, we'll move on. And there's other people. There's so many people that have shown support, and I really do appreciate that. But I wanted to single some people out. I put out some printouts, and the first page is kind of a synopsis of what you're going to see up here on the screen, and I'll try not to overdo it as far as going into too much detail, but I can answer some questions if you need further clarification. Our cash balance, I did this as of 10/31 and compared all the data is compared with last year. Cash balance is 78,257 at this particular point in time. We have $2,935 in a reserved fund for Feed the Troops. We have another $148. It's not in a reserve fund yet at the end of the year. If we still have it, I will move it to a reserve fund. But for our mudslide relief efforts, we had a number of contributions and 3 feeds up in that area and have just a tiny balance left. Move on to charitable contributions. So this is where we've shown an impact to the community, and you can see a breakdown of that there. And a lot of these numbers I'm giving you will tie to the financial statements that are attached for the balance sheet. You can see, you know, the money that I just talked about as far as the money that's reserved for the Feed the Troops, and in the financial statements you can see in a group all this stuff together as far as this data. I was telling Pat today, I did a calculation based upon thing, and we fed over 4,000 people this year as far as our different events that we contributed. And I think our organization should feel very proud about that. And that's first responders, that's firefighters, that's servicemen, that's Vietnam vets. It's just been a really great year for that. And we exceeded, this is the 3rd year in a row, we've exceeded what that impact on the community is. And one of the things, speaking of Chris's contributions, one of the things he's nailing down this week is we got lined up with the Darrington Food Bank that Operation Barbecue Rescue. They sent us 3 pallets of food for the landslide area, and they're going to be picking up that food sometime here very shortly. So that's incredible donation from them, and glad that we could pass that on to the community. We increased our merchandise sales this year. I got checks from Frank. I don't know if he is the one selling the products or who was doing that, but we increased it dramatically, and it seems to be something that's getting a positive reaction. We've actually reordered some more product. The tie-dye seemed to be very, very popular, and that's something that we had to reorder. So I've got an inventory booked. Last year we didn't really have an inventory on the books, and now I've adjusted it based upon what we purchased. And so that balance is on your balance sheet if you look there. We can move on to our program services. This is before expenses. This and it does not include the prize money that certain competitions came in and went out, which is kind of just a wash. The expenses you can see listed on the financial statement itself, and I did a synopsis spreadsheet listing event by event summary, revenue, and expenses, and see what each event on its own made, so that you can kind of see where we're being impacted, where we're doing well. Interestingly, this year, and if you look at that, the printouts, the breakdown of the events, this is the first year that, at least when I've been around, that the skewered apple was not our biggest event. North Plains that we added this year just edged them out as far as the profit, and that kind of came down to the locality of the expenses, where we had a lot of local people involved. We didn't have a lot of mileage or as much hotel or expenses of that nature. And it's really cool to see a new event come on and have that kind of impact and contribution. Moving on to membership income. We're down slightly, a little bit from last year, but we're not talking significantly. And you can see a comparison on the income statement section. I didn't put one up on here, but there's the membership area is listed in that area, and but there's a breakdown of the style of memberships, the length of memberships that were purchased this year. We owe a lot of that. We had a lot of very successful cooking and judging classes this year. Mabin was an Iron Warrior on that one. He took his trip to Friday Harbor. We got 18 there. He went to Idaho. We got 18 there. We had 30 down in Portland. So we had a lot of, some of those were existing members, but there were a lot of new members brought into the fold that way this year. And so when you look at the income from the judges and cooking classes, and we made a profit, and that's not necessarily always the objective of that. It's, you're getting the people involved and being part of that, but that number doesn't reflect their true contribution, because $25 of each of those class fees actually goes to membership. So when you look at the classes and say, we didn't make that much money, really the contribution is much bigger as far as what it does contribute to our organization. So we can move on to profit and accounts receivable. I still have, and it's being worked on, and it looks like we will collect everything, but there's still a few sanctioning fee from a few events left out there to get, and I'm in contact with those people. And part of that is we just had an event just a couple weeks ago. So
Last weekend.
just last weekend. So from that standpoint, some of these expenses are a little bit low because we don't have all those in the books yet, as well as the revenue from that particular event. But I expect that those will all be collected. So that just gives us a, so that kind of just gives you a synopsis of how the numbers work out from the financial statements across, the competition in the classes. We make money from those, but our profit's not that, because we still have our overhead. We still have the different things that we have to pay for, the storage and different things of that nature. So if you look down below, you'll see what the final profit is. At this point, we could have an interesting impact on the financial statement that's not reflected here. And I've been investigating it because we haven't in the past had a lot of case where we had donated products. But on top of the 3 pallets of food that we got from Orb, we also got a pallet of beefalo that we have not dispersed yet. And if that goes over year end, we're going to have to recognize it as revenue this year and recognize it as an expense when we allocate it out. So we could get this bump of an additional $5,000 in income this year, which isn't true to what the nature of what we have is. And then next year, you could see a $5,000 expense that really is kind of just a paper expense. That's if we don't allocate that food by the end of the year. I'm hoping that might be a possibility, and then we don't have to I don't like the financial statements kind of having these big fluctuations that are miscommunicating what's truly happening. So, but I will make sure and put a note so that, you know, anything that we have posted. Did you have a question?
I do. That's great. Good detail. Have we paid for the judging software now?
The judging software has not been billed to us. There is that is roughly about a $3,800 bill that will come due at some point in time. And that's
This fiscal year?
I'm told that I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Okay.
I keep asking about, but I'm not getting an answer. And the answer is final billing until everything, every bug, every possible detail is fixed until, and from that, you know, from a vendor, you really appreciate that. Along the same technology thing, I think next year you could see one of the things that we still need to complete is we need to get a database that is more functional than what we have right now. And some of the things that you see on the board that people would really like from our organization, such as Team of the Year, numbers being updated in more of a real-time type situation. You know, our capabilities from what we have as far as our database program just doesn't do that right now. And there's some areas that would really improve, and it would really take a lot of pressure off of a few people that are doing a lot of work and a lot of manual crunching of numbers and that type of thing. And we did buy 2 laptops this year for head judges. I foresee that next year that there will be that number will increase. Pretty much what we're running on is technology that's been around for a number of years. And while we only replaced 2, we probably should have been more in the 5 or 6 area last year. So
The moral of the story is, yes, we made a profit, but we also have a whole bunch of expenses that we need to.
we do have stuff coming up that will take a chunk of that. Yes. What I've prepared, I'm pretty much done. So if there's anybody that would like any more detail, or is there a specific thing that I didn't communicate adequately for somebody? Treasurer, you have my email address, and our books are not hidden. Our books are not secret. So we will do our best to be responsive to membership and make sure that they're, you know, they can believe in what we're presenting to them and what we're talking about. Dale.
Yeah, in 2013, you had this $34,000 restricted asset, and now it's gone. That
was not 34,000. That was a miss. That was one of the year-end entries that as soon as I came in, the amount was what our balance was from the Feed the Troops, which was more like about 5,600. I'm just doing that off the top of my head. That was between myself and the review that we had done. I'd made the correction before we talked to the people who did the review. And so there was a cash balance, and according to the balance sheet, it said we had this amount reserved, and that was not true. It was all that rest of that amount was actually part of the main fund. That was one of the corrections I made when I took over as treasurer, and but that's what that was. And you see last year there was a zero balance for temporary. Actually, it was misclassified too. It was not a permanent restriction because we use it for Feed the Troops. It was a temporary restriction, so it was moved to that account.
Did very well. Yeah, this isn't easy for some of us. We've done the financial report. I'm going to recap our 2014 season. I don't know if you need me to actually read it for you. Can you We never ask. Can you see the screen in the back? So, I mean, we had 22 sanctioned events. They were all full day or full 2-day cooks. We had 10 classes, 3 pit master classes, 5 judging classes, and 2 table captain classes. Our special events were the Firehouse Chili and Rib Rally. I haven't heard anything about it yet. For this, we had the Safeway Breast Cancer Cook-Off, and I don't have it written in my notes, but the difference, I think last year we had $3,000 raised, so significantly more for his breast cancer cook-off.
He had more ribs this year.
Yeah, he had more ribs. And I believe there was actually 2 or 3 more teams that helped this year too, so it made it much larger. We had our 4 Feed the Troops events. My numbers, as close as we could get them, was 1,000 Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard personnel and their families this year. And I'm
1,500. So we had more than 2,000.
yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
We fed a bunch.
Yeah, we've had a ton, that's for sure. And we had our also slide relief events this year, which,
If you add those all together, it's actually only 4,000.
okay, thank you. Yeah. We've got some numbers here. In 2014, we had 179. We had 80 or 45% competed in one event. 40 teams or 22% that competed in 2, and 59 teams or 34% competed in 3 or more events. We had 5 new events for 2014. North Plains Smokehouse Summit, Freedom Fest Barbecue on the 4th of July. We had Tour de Terras, the Oak Harbor Pig Fest, and a new event, Harvest Festival in Coulee City. And now we have a brief presentation for the 2015 events from Frank Beal, who, if you gather, it's the same last name, has now taken over as chair of the events committee. So you got any leads about somebody wanting to do a barbecue event, get a hold of Frank.
Okay, I hate microphones too. Because usually I don't need to use a microphone. But anyway, I don't have a calendar for next year yet because that's a little early in the process right now. Essentially, I'm going to take what Tom said last year. You remember last year's calendar? It's kind of like that. There's a few that are missing. That's what Tom did last year. Of course, we lost a couple of events up in Canada, and it looks like we're not going to have Cheney this year. But we are already in the works and talking with a number of places for events, new events this year. We've already sanctioned an event in Sublimity, which is east of Salem in Oregon. They have real big plans for a really big event. We're also in talks. I think Tom brought me a sanctioning agreement from Wenatchee. So we're talking with people there. We're also talking with some people in Pasco. We're talking with people in Puyallup. Chris, have you talked to them lately?
Yeah.
Anyway, briefly. Okay.
And Des Moines.
Yes, in Des Moines. And so there are more events. There are ones that were on the calendar last year. They'll be there on the calendar this year. I've contacted most of the groups that put on an event last year, and I'm waiting for them to respond and come forward with some sanction agreements, and then the board will be approving those as they come in, and they will be on the calendar. That's it, unless anybody has any questions.
You know
Artie.
anything about the Chehalis event? Will that be, maybe put that on the calendar?
Pat, you want to talk about that? Pat's had some contact with those folks.
I'm trying to think how to summarize it real quickly. No. It won't be back in 2015. We are really working hard on 2016. And we think they'll be back.
What was the
Diane?
date of the one that you sanctioned in Oregon?
It's okay. It's going to be Smoking Down the Highway is the name of the event. It's in Sublimity, which is just east of Salem.
Date.
Staten.
Date.
Oh, date. What's the date? Sorry. It's the same. It's probably going to be
August 1st.
the same weekend as Whistler. Sorry. I worked at the paper mill for 20 years. I can't hear worth a darn. Any other questions? Not that I'll hear you. But
I might tell them that the one in Wenatchee is the
May.
9th and 10th.
I didn't know the exact date. I can't remember. I didn't have it written down.
Say that's what happened.
Wenatchee would be May 9th and 10th. We're trying to push for early in the year since, you know.
We're trying to not have as many duplicates in August, and try to load the calendar a little bit more on the earlier part of the year. So, any other questions? Not? Thank you very much.
I guess we blocked this. I hope it's not bothering people there. You can look back here for your keynote numbers if you're tracking that. Bob, do you want to bring up, we're kind of rolling along on our agenda right here, and we've got some timing issues. Would you bring me the door prize bucket?
Wait, good place.
Bob, do you want to go grab? Oh. Well, they're over here. What do you think we should start? Let's do a bottle of wine.
Way to start.
Anybody else not get it taken?
A 2003 Mary Hill, Cabernet Blanc.
I didn't want the wine anyway.
Oh,
Nice try, Dave. Nice try.
ticket number 124.
Go fish.
Red ticket,
Red
red ticket 124.
Back here, back. 123.
You got it?
Yeah.
Hey,
Ticket 106.
What? 106.
Very lovely Weber shaped, some Weber shakers. We're gonna move. Pat, would you like to come up and brief us on our Feed the Troops and our relief?
Let me turn on the microphone. Before you get out of here, take a look at the Feed the Troops display, the photo board back there. That really kind of sums up what we did more than any words would. And for an awful lot of us, it's the smiles and the thanks that we get from the other side of the service line that sums it all up. But we did have 4 Feed the Troops events this year. And 2 of them, some of you are probably scratching your head and said, well, I know about this one, I know about that one, I did this one, and I did that one. Board member who could not be here today, Leroy Payne out of Spokane, has come on strong as the world's biggest supporter of Feed the Troops. Pardon me. Before he recently opened his barbecue restaurant in Spokane, now he's probably not going anyplace, he liked to winter over down south in Arizona. And he got into this Feed the Troops idea and was trucking his trailer all the way across from Spokane over to the I-5 corridor to help us, and help us he did. Man, that guy could cook anything, any place. And he's just a huge supporter of this whole idea, he and his wife. Well, they trucked their trailer pit down to Arizona as well. And they found some other cooks down there. And some military retirees and some VFW members, and they all got together and they said, let's go Feed the Troops for the Marines down here. And so they did a couple of years ago and got a lot of rave reviews. And they said, if you do it again, we'll be back and we'll bring our buddies. It has grown every year. The past couple of years, the board has voted to underwrite his efforts with funding. If you know Leroy, you'll understand the next statement real clearly. Normally that money gets thrown back at us. If he didn't reach into his pocket for his own funds down to about his knees, he'll just say, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We got it covered. He and his wife don't have any heartburn about bankrolling it themselves. That's how dedicated they are. Now, what he's also done, and he did it a couple of years ago, or last year as well, he's taking care of the folks out at Fairchild Air Force Base outside of Spokane. They have a bit of a resort on a lake out there between Spokane and the base, and out at Clear Lake. And Leroy organizes local PNWBA teams and other cooks. And Eric Lindblom and I went over last year and cooked with him. And they put on a first-class Feed the Troops over there for basically the flight line aircraft maintenance teams. A lot of junior enlisted personnel and their wives and their kids and a bunch of the guys out of the barracks. And they absolutely love it. And they pack that recreation area at the lake, and they have a full day of it. They're out on water skis. They're jumping off the dock. They're having a great. They're putting away mondo quantities of beer. Go Air Force, and then Leroy's crew feeds them in style. The other thing, sorry, Davey. The other thing that they always do, and I don't know if you know this about Leroy and his family, but they also have a shave ice, a Hawaiian shave ice operation. And so they bring that trailer along as well. And all day long, they're making shave ice for everybody. I mean, big cups of this stuff. And I looked at the bottles of flavoring, and I got to thinking of how expensive they must be. And he buys these ice discs pre-made in this machine. It's a complicated process, but it's damn good. I think I had 3 of them. Every charge for this stuff comes out of their pocket. And to think that they would take money from anybody else for this is just so alien to them. They just don't understand it. We try and throw some money at him to help him on that event as well. And occasionally he'll say, okay, fine, then I can buy more. But he takes very, very good care. Wing commander from Fairchild was out there, Colonel Erickson, I think his name was. And he had the nicest darn plaque to present to Leroy. And then we turn around, and he's got these black things for every single one of us, And he says it's really I want you to take it home because it's to your organization, because we realize they're behind this, and we realize, in emotion to all our folks in uniform, says we realize they're behind us, and he says that helps us get up in the morning, put our boots on, and go take care of those aircraft. And Leroy understands why he does it, and I wanted to make sure you did too. On the 7th of July this year, a bunch of us spent our day down on a Monday of all times. Monday after 4th of July, we spent our day down on the Tacoma waterfront, feeding about 700 personnel from McCord Field out of Joint Base Lewis McCord. The bank on base there ran the interference and organized it. We funded the Feed the Troops operation. They got some folks to donate some sides. And as I said, we fed about 700 personnel right on the docks, right overlooking the waterfront. Absolutely beautiful day and a great venue. And we had folks come from hither and yon to do it. The bottom line is they cannot, it's like she said, we cannot tell you in words how much we want you guys to come back. She says, these people love this. This is the best treat they've had in ages. And she wasn't exaggerating. She absolute sweetheart, the organizer down there. So I think we're going to get a call again this year, or this next year, to come out and feed them. Maybe there, maybe out on McCord Field. We're not sure. Then they came up with one extra way to say thank you to us. And if you saw the last edition of Dripping Through the Pit, you saw Jane's article about how thank you to the PNWBA. They couldn't fly us all, so they said, did you get your president to go? Think we can get Jane Beal to take a free ride on a C-17 surrounded by uniforms? Are you kidding me? What? See what they're shooting. Read the article. The lady had an absolute ball. She turned into a little kid. And we picked her up out of McCord that afternoon on our way down to the Juarez competition. And she was like, it was like, oh my God, all the way to Oregon. She had a ball and she kept saying, oh God, I wish everybody who was behind Feed the Troops could have been on that plane. And I said, well, Jane, in a way we were. And I thought that was a real class act on the part of the Air Force wing. Every time we talk about Feed the Troops, we're talking about two groups. We're talking about the PNWBA and a second group that's always along with us. Now, most of them are PNWBA members as well. Some of them were here at the very beginning and are still here. I normally refer to them as our chili head brothers and sisters. And when old buddy Ken Peach over there, retired Army Sergeant Major Ken Peach, get the motivation there. Yeah, I heard it, hoorah. And all I got to do when I hear Feed the Troops is pick up the phone, call Ken Peach, give him a date, give him a time, give him a target number to feed, and he will have his own army of chili heads stirring the pot and turning out awesome, awesome chili. Sometimes we try and get him reimbursed, and he laughs at us. He's just got the most marvelous bunch in the Puget Pod of CASI, the Chili Appreciation Society International. And they just don't question. The only time they question is if, what do you mean you had one? A little while ago, he says, I heard you had one in Tacoma. You didn't invite me. I thought he was going to punch me. I said, no, that wasn't us. That wasn't us. A new event came our way, not last summer, but the summer before, but we did it again this summer at the Suquamish Clearwater Casino. They had the 2-day competition, which they've asked us to put on the books, and they'll send us the sanctioning agreement shortly for the second weekend in July. They absolutely want to do grill for 10 grand again, and follow it up, Feed the Troops. We got some of our bigger pit cook teams out to handle that. I don't know how we get through the Feed the Troops over the past couple of years if it was not for Chris and Dan Gorton. Absolutely. 20-some years of barbecue catering experience, a rotisserie pit, if you haven't seen it, hell, it's even bigger than me.
You fit on one shelf.
Thank you, dear. One day at Poles Bowl last year, He did 640 pieces of chicken on that rotisserie. Now, he cussed me out later because he had no idea how deep the fat was going to be in the bottom of that pit. But boy, oh boy, that chicken was just luscious. I don't think those two know how to say the word no. We fed, as was mentioned earlier, over 1,400 Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard personnel at the Feed the Troops on Sunday after the competition.
One day.
Yeah,
Couple hours.
yeah, Chris?
The 1,400, that was just the adults they counted, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they did not count.
Yeah, there's about 1,400 little kids too.
Yeah.
Some of them eat more than the adults.
Well, then some of the hotel guests.
Oh, hell yeah.
They came out.
The arrangement at Suquamish Clearwater is this. Their chef staff take care of all the sides, and we take care of all the barbecue and chili.
But they paid for the meat, the rubs, the fuel.
Yeah. The punchline is that our bill of $2,200, and believe me, I buy on the cheap, man. I get wholesale every place I can. Our bill was $2,200. Before I left there, they wrote the check. They just don't hesitate. They want to know if they can give it to me when I arrive. They're marvelous. They underwrite that entire event and they want to grow it every year. My wife and some other people picked me up off the ground that afternoon when the organizer said, next year we want to do a 2-day Feed the Trump. Yeah. As reported, we currently have a balance of $2,934 in the Feed the Troop fund. Who knows what other military units will call, knowing that the PNWBA is anxious to say yes to Feed the Troops. But our fundraising source, as some of you know, dried up a couple of years ago. The wonderful folks over at McKinley Springs who host the event there were really the bankroll for Feed the Troops for quite a number of years. And then they moved their charitable funds in another direction. Same sort of target, but another direction. So we've kind of been milking it out and taking some small donations here and there. We haven't really gone to big sponsors anywhere and hit them, aside from the Clearwater. And they really came to us. We try and save that for more dire needs. We've really kind of turned inward, and today is an example of that in terms of fundraising. We've turned inward to the PNWBA because we recognize that a number of these events take place on work days. They take place on weekdays. The military will have, the Army will have an event in the morning, a redeployment ceremony or something like that, and then they'll come over to the Steilacoom Town Center and we feed them on a Wednesday. And we realize that a lot of you can't get away to come work. And we realize a lot of you want to, but you can't. So what we've done is we've kind of turned back to our membership and said, well, please help us by virtue of, as I said earlier, being generous. And that's why today you have raffles, and the gang will be around to sell you more raffle tickets on the lunch break. The silent auctions in the back are really unique. Every single item on those tables donated. And the way I got them to donate it was to tell them it is specifically for the Feed the Troops program, and we explained what that was. We've got some marvelous donations from companies like Butcher Barbecue. There's a smoke shop in Tacoma in Fife, right off the freeway, called BJ's. It's in conjunction with their casino there. And all these premium cigars came from BJ's. And believe me, take it from an average cigar smoker, there's some good ones out there. There's a brand new Gurkha that's over there. The wines came from some wino with a wine cellar. And the briner, I think there was only one donation I was promised that never arrived. And I won't mention the company. But please, when it's time to buy things like rubs and injections and things, please think about these sponsors. Please think about Butcher Barbecue and Big Papa's, Suckle Busters, Tasty Licks, and suppliers like that. You need a cigar, pull off I-5 and shop at BJ's. And that, that kind of, when I said earlier, be generous, that's the way auctions and raffles work. I go to an auction or a silent auction, and if I walk home with something with a $50 value and I paid $80 for it, it wasn't that I paid $80 for it. I donated $80 to the cause that I believe in.
Hey, Pat.
Yo,
If someone goes in excess of market value, that excess is taxed.
absolutely tax deductible. We'll be happy to document that for you. We also have for the first time ever, and it's driving our treasurer crazy, PNWBA IOUs. If you want to bid on something on that silent auction table, you really want that item or you really want to donate, you just didn't happen to bring the checkbook, or you didn't happen to bring that much cash, or you stopped in the casino on the way in here and you no longer have that much cash, I have an IOU. And Chris Kelly is ready to set you up with PayPal online in the exact amount. Any easier way to reach into your pocket. I mean, I can't think of any easier way to help you fuel the cause. To wrap up the Feed the Troop in this topic, we don't know when they're going to call. We don't know when somebody out at Fort Lewis is going to say, hey, our troops are coming back a month and a half early from that deployment. We're going to have a welcome home ceremony in the morning. Would you all be interested in doing lunch for 900? And they give you 11 days notice. We do that. Can we understand why we do it? And the bottom line is we want to do it. We want to keep doing it. And with your help, we can do that. Think about another $5 of raffle tickets or another bid over there. I'll shut up and stop selling. But there's a real future to Feed the Troops. We know the phone's going to keep ringing. Tom?
Hey, Pat, last year at the annual meeting, we had the suggestion that we set up a link on our website to be able to contribute, actually get a tax form from your organization.
About the time we were ready to do that, we instead set up the donation for the OSO Darrington Arlington Fund. And since we've shut that down, we have not gone back to reopen that. There's a couple of steps we want to do with Feed the Troops, and that's one of them. Yep.
Were you going to do this too?
Can we do that too?
Yeah.
Why don't you do something and then I'll do that. Let me catch.
Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a 10-minute break, give you a chance to run to the bathrooms. The raffle, buy your raffle tickets, do the silent auction down there. And then Pat will catch us up on the relief and we'll continue with the program. heavy use, I'll go ahead and say it. They have not broken, they are great. They're actually some of the largest on the market. They're actually 3 inches, but they are great. They're big balls. $116. They got the big balls.
Jane really loved you. I know. I didn't even look at it. And if it's him, I really don't get it.
There's a mini bag light for, those trips to the bathroom, and 135. 135. We haven't announced it. I'm going to ask Rick Moy if you've noticed the intrusive little camera over here and this wonderful art object that I have in front of me that I planned on, if anything's thrown, I'm ducking behind it. We are broadcasting this, I imagine, throughout the world for anyone to join in. How many viewers do we have at this?
We have 6 currently.
We have 6. Is one of them happen to be Jesse Henry?
Tell you.
Yeah. Yes.
How do the viewers find that?
They're finding it okay, as far as I can tell.
No.
Sorry, it's on YouTube. There's a link on the forum.
On our website.
On our website.
On our
It says, click here, and it's a live broadcast.
Okay.
There's a 30-second delay.
Yeah. Yeah, in case I swear. Oh, we're going to change up our agenda a little bit, timing wise, with lunch coming up and stuff. This is something I've been looking forward to for a while. And it sounds funny, but in the beginning, now, some of this information may not be correct. It may be hearsay. There may have been people that said, it happened, but if you ask me, I will never admit it. So please, we did the best we can with the information and time we had. So if you hear something that you know is wrong, keep it to yourself for now. The PNWBA started as a committee in the Washington State Chili Society about 1985. In 1987, the head of the Chili Society decided that the barbecue was not appropriate for a chili society. And as a result, the PNWBA was formed. Last year, a then board member of ours, Jesse Henry, began a discussion on the board and on the forum regarding the history of the PNWBA. We realized that a lot of us and a lot of people before us have worked so hard to make our events and our association come about every year that we haven't taken the time or found the right person to spearhead actually chronicling our history and getting it down. So the stories can be closer to the truth than, the game of telephone where the stories are passed on verbally. What he proposed is that we acknowledge those that were responsible for making it possible for us to do what we love to do each and every day of our season. In the spring of this year, the Board of Directors of the PNWBA approved the creation of the PNWBA Hall of Fame to honor those members who have significantly contributed to the successes of the PNWBA in a manner over and above the norm. Each year, the Hall of Fame Committee will reach out to our members in good standing for their nominations of those that they feel are worthy to be inducted into our Hall of Fame. At this time, I'd like to introduce Greg Fugino. He was the chair of our Hall of Fame Committee.
Once again, if Jesse's online, I'd like to thank him for getting the ball rolling. I know that it's been brought up before here or there, but Jesse spearheaded it. He pushed us, he made us think about it, and it came to fruition now. All right, so we have some inductees, and like Jane said, we kind of pieced together some historical notes and the bios of the folks. It's the best that we can do without going out and actually talking to them. We wanted to kind of bring this on as a honorary surprise. So the first folks that are inducted this year are not with us anymore. And that's David and Pat Valjasic. And Dave, he was the first president of the PNWBA and served until 2001. He and his wife, Patsy, started chili cook-offs in British Columbia. They also involved barbecue at the Canadian Festival of Chili and Barbecue in 1988. It was recognized as the Canadian National Barbecue Championship until 1999. After a year hiatus, barbecue came back to the Canadian Festival with the British Columbia Provincial Championship and has continued that way ever since. It is the oldest continuing barbecue cook-off. The wife, Pat, was always a part of Dave's endeavors and made sure the events ran smoothly. She passed away on the same day in 2001. Together, they started the barbecue movement in British Columbia, and it has spread beyond. Now, they are not here, obviously, to accept the award, so I believe it's going to travel to Canada.
It's going to travel to Canada, and I've talked to Wayne, and it will be presented to the family members at barbecue next season.
The next is also a couple, and they're not with us today. Instrumental.
But they are here.
Oh, huh?
I mean, they're still alive, but they're still.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, yeah, today they're not present at the annual meeting. It's Bob and Sandra Lyon. And Bob Lyon was the first secretary treasurer of the PNWBA and later served as president. Bob was one of the first to be interested in barbecue, and for many years he sanctioned cook-offs as the secretary. He originally published our monthly newsletter, Rippings from the Pit, for many years. Bob promoted many cook-offs, taught judging classes, and he was instrumental in bringing Paul Kirk to our region, and Paul taught a lot of folks at the pitmaster classes, and I was honored to be able to meet him and learn from him too. His team, the Beavercasters, made it to the Jack Daniels for many years in a row, as well as the American Royal. Bob's wife, Sandra, was also at the cook-offs and did the tallying of the results. That was before we had computers and our scoring program, and everything had to be done manually by hand.
And we
She-
didn't use calculators either.
Yeah, I imagine it was a time-consuming and a dedicated thing that was vital to putting on a competition, and she really helped along with Bob in the early years. So Bob and Sandra Lyon are inducted into the PNWBA Hall of Fame. Now, we do have members present here, and one of them is Lynn Brokaw. And Lynn was one of the original members of the association and its first head judge. She continued that position until deciding to cook in competitions. She became a mentor and promoted cook-offs for many years. Lynn is also a former president of the PNWBA. Many teams owe their success to Lynn's generous mentorship and involvement in the early years of the association. Lynn, go ahead. Judy Anderson is with us today. Judy is another cook who was an original member of the PNWBA. For many years, she was one of the most successful cooks in the Northwest. She made numerous appearances at both the American Royal and Jack Daniels. When she can, Judy has remained active, helping with the chili events at our Firehouse Chili and Rib Rally and the Feed the Troop events at Clearwater Casino this year. So thank you, Judy. And she's calling back to you. We also have Ed Levesque here today. And Ed was also one of the original members who was very supportive of barbecue in the early years. Back then, at his junkyard in Tacoma, he invited folks for barbecue there weekly for years. What kind of junkyard was that?
Oh, I sold used car parts. It was in Lakewood.
Okay, in Lakewood, at a wrecking yard then, cool.
I've got a comment to make. I was at the Beach Tavern here about a month ago and talked with Chuck Wynn, and he mentioned that he was in good spirits, so I just want to pass that along to everybody.
Yeah, so good. September.
Ed believed in the PNWBA and was always ready to help in any way that was needed. He was also instrumental in starting the Charlie Johnson Passing the Gift Award, which is the PNWBA's recognition for service. Ed Levesque. Last, we have Ken Peach. Ken was an early supporter of the PNWBA and a former board member. His involvement originated with the local Chili Society, and he also became a PNWBA judging class instructor. At least one past president has taken his class. Sarge, as he's known, still remains an active member of the PNWBA.
And that wraps it up for this year's inductees to the PNWBA Inaugural Hall of Fame.
Like I said, this was long overdue. It wasn't anything that we don't remember our past. It's that we're so busy keeping up with the present that time goes by.
Yeah. Just an added note for Bob Lyon. This past October at the Jack Daniels, he was also awarded legend status
Awesome.
for KCBS with along the likes of Mike Niels and Paul Kirk and the legends
Yeah.
of KCBS as well. So,
And I was in contact with Bob. This task was a little difficult because I've been tasked with keeping it a secret. So yes, some of you may have been lied to about it, why you needed to be here today. But I contacted Bob, and I also enlisted some help from a former teammate that I never heard back from. That might have made it easier, but Bob was still kind of recovering from his trip at the Jack, and so, well, we may possibly, I know he goes to the Festival of Chili, so I believe that's where he will get his award too. So, Pat, I'm going to jump back into the agenda, and you can also update.
Saturday morning, March the 22nd at 10:37 a.m. 4 miles east of Oso, Washington, between Arlington and Darrington in the North Cascades, an unstable hillside soaked by rains collapsed, and the resultant huge mudslide ran across the North Fork of the Stillaguamish River. And when the mud and debris settled, it covered an area in excess of 1 square mile, engulfing 49 homes. It dammed the North Fork and caused extensive flooding and still more damage from that. When all was said and done, 43 people were dead and many more were homeless. FEMA, the Red Cross, and countless feeding organizations responded immediately in support of the 24-hour-a-day search and recovery operation for weeks. The PNWBA also responded, amassing resources and equipment and volunteers. But when we coordinated with the Red Cross lead, it was apparent that another feeding organization in the disaster recovery area was the last thing they needed. So we decided to wait until the initial wave of well-meaning folks cleared out, and there was a renewed need in that absence. Our own Paul Wagner, a Darrington native son, focused our coordination with the Darrington Mayor's office and the fire department, whose personnel had been on the scene since immediately after the slide. Eventually, we staged 3 different feeding events. The first in Arlington for many of the military personnel who had also been working alongside the fire and the police teams. And the backbone of that initial event in Arlington was, if you're familiar with the competition team, Brothers in Arms Barbecue, Brian Lipsey and Jared Henline got that pushed through. And the likes of Paul and a few other folks went up there and cooked overnight up in Arlington and got this process started on the ground. Next, we staged a major feeding event with the Darrington Fire Department in a city park that used to be Paul's grade school, and now it's a beautiful city park. And we fed hundreds of area folks, all of them touched one way or another by the local disaster. Chaplains, school kids, FEMA workers, firefighters, and victims. We fed all comers. Before we left, a fire chief did everything but get on her knees and beg us to return. Her concern was to stage events in that area that would help to restore something akin to a sense of normalcy for those folks. She put it something along the lines of, we lost our brothers and sisters down the road, but every single person in this area is a victim, one way or another. She was absolutely right. So we promised basically to do our best to come back. In the meanwhile, we posted a donation station on our website, and you, our generous members immediately chipped in more than $1,000. Our friends back at Operation Barbecue Relief, as you've heard reference to earlier today, also helped out by donating, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 pallet loads of meat, a lot of which we cooked up there and a lot of which is still there and headed for the food banks. On Saturday, August 16th, we returned to Darrington for one final time. And as we've become known to do, we served some outrageously good barbecue to hundreds of first responders, recovering residents, and as usual, all comers. I would be absolutely remiss not to mention prominently the cheerful and generous contributions of our Chili Head brothers and sisters who were right there with us, dishing up a hearty bowl of red to make the meal complete at both of those big Darrington events. In fact, the Puget Pod and Cassie contingent was led, of course, by their great pepper, Ken Peach, who back in Tacoma, just before he left to head up to Darrington, he called his friends there in town and asked them if they'd cancel his 85th birthday party because he had something important to go do. And he did. True to form, Lynn Brokaw showed up at the cook with a personalized birthday cake for old Sarge, who was at the time up to his elbows in gallons and gallons of chili. When the events were over, we took our leftovers each time to the local food bank, which had become a primary feeding source for so many locals, now out of work and some out of a home. Our folks never said no. When asked, we were there. But the most touching moment I remember is when Paul Wenger brought 3 gentlemen up to me, excuse me, I'm sorry, in the middle of the Darrington feed. And he said something like, "Gentlemen, this is Pat, he's in charge." And they gathered around me, and each in their own way, they gave me the most heartfelt thanks I think I've ever heard from any human being. And the third gentleman never wiped the smile off his face. The whole time he was saying how important it was that we came and did that to help their community get back to being the vibrant place to live that it was for their families and their kids. And these guys gave me the same message. All 3 of them gave me the same message. And they each took about 5 minutes to do it. And the whole time, this one gentleman is smiling from ear to ear. And I thought, just how wonderful to have that kind of spirit. And when I turned to him and I said, "Gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking the time to deliver this message. And if you get a chance, go shake those folks' hands who are working the serving line. Those 2 folks over there wash the dishes. Those guys still tending the pits. I'd really appreciate that." And every single one of them went and did it. And I went back to work. Paul came and grabbed me and says, "You know those 3 guys? You know that one fella over on the right?" I said, "The one with the big smile." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "You know they're still looking for 3 bodies that they hadn't found as of that date." He says, "They just found one yesterday. That was his brother." That's why we do these things.
Yes.
At the last feed, fire department put out a news at the end of our table to people who donate, give food away for free, no obligation. We raised another $950 right there. People were generous for their fire department.
But what did they do with it?
They said so many communities made this happen. The Concrete Fire Department was here. The Cedar Lloyd Fire Department was here. Fire Department after Fire Department. And they said everybody contributed to us in our time of need. And they said we're going to send this money to Eastern Washington for the wildfire relief that's going on right now. And that means a lot to me. It just showed that there was a true appreciation.
10 minutes.
We spent about $1,000, 850 people, and we generated another 950 somewhere else. And it was just awesome.
Got your attention. They just about have everything set up for lunch. We're actually going to go. It's set out there. Bring your food back. They are waiting to bring back the till because there is a bar out there. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that. No, go to the bar and then immediately go over to the live auction sheets.
No, give them 10 minutes.
Head over there, but we'll break now for lunch, go to restrooms, whatever you need to do, and lunch will be ready. Thanks.
So Jane, during lunch, we'll have an opportunity, our sellers will still be available so you can buy some more raffle tickets. Because right after lunch, we're gonna close those out, and the same for the silent auction items, so take your last shot.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have been reminded that I should explain the silent table closing procedures. We will count down the final moments that the silent auction tables will be open. We will count them down loud and clearly. You may linger to make final bids. You may not. Thank you, JD. You may not block anyone's access to the bidding sheet, but you may arm yourself with a writing implement and be able to, the last legible name that we can read. Item.
Or initials.
What?
Or initials, like in JD, we know who that is.
If I see JD, I know who got it. If I see Oofda, Darren got it. You know, yes, you can abbreviate. We'll count it down in a few minutes.
You're having way too much fun.
Oh, you're about to. Right there.
Really, you really want to know what's right before it. Yeah, I know. I think it's recognition of service.
I've exhausted all the brownie points I have with this part of the supplier. Make sure to hit you up again.
Which is fine, if you call. I would have told you.
All down, James?
No, I'm just getting them close.
You're just see.
Now I got a breath mint.
There you have it.
I got it.
Yeah.
This is live currently, so once we finish it, it will be permanently on until we delete it. So
Just leave it, on internet presence.
I can delete it. I can blur you out.
The corner over the silent auction. I'm gonna do some door prizes. Ticket 128.
Yeah, no line.
gets to pick.
She's gonna pick one. Well, reauthorize.
It's like that at home, believe me.
110.
Yeah, that one. Or the runs, Shane.
Then you have to become a head judge because that's going to be
No.
scoring for
Individual.
134.
134. One 41.
You're getting closer.
Okay, that was not.
That's a no-go. Ask us 142.
Okay. 112.
113. Judy came in just before. I want the steak season.
Oh, steak seasoning. See, she already picked out what she wanted.
That's a good one.
Yeah. She wants. Okay, no. Oh. Yes.
2 minutes till the closing of the silent auction bid.
2 minutes.
There goes Rana.
Nice.
126.
Back anyway.
139.
Close.
You need a new system.
Now I'm gonna say Dino deserves this. He drove, not on his bike, he didn't ride, but he did take a car and closed vehicle all the way to Spokane from the west side to Judge. That was it.
1 minute.
Hey, Bob, I'm bidding at the hotel.
What are you doing?
147.
I know, so much going on.
No,
That's 75% of that family song.
yeah, I'm going to walk in the car and one.
30 seconds. Seconds.
115.
Right here.
10.
This is,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Table is closed.
Oh, I did bring a first aid kit in case anyone needs it. I'm just saying. 102.
I want to solve a chicken.
Cooler.
Oh, yeah.
142.
Yes, Carol, you did.
145.
Tasty licks. That's what I need, another rub.
Yes.
Is that one of the choices?
Yes.
Yeah, you're drinking while you're cooking.
Next up is Greg Vigino nominating committee. Well, you could tell him about the nominations coming in, that's it. That's what he's going to put up there once you talk about it. I didn't write your script for you.
Okay, everybody, this year, like always, the board has 10 members on it and it alternates for 5 stay on, but 5 new positions open up. And also the officers rotate in groups. This year, vice president is up for election and secretary. That means that next year would be president and treasurer. So far, that have been nominated, you can see here that we have Pat Maddow is going for vice president. And we have Chris Gordon going for secretary. And Chris is back there with the brown hair. And then for board of directors, right now officially there's 5 names submitted. You can see that they are 3 returning board members, which is excellent because they've learned more each and every year. I would say that the board is extremely tight group now. We all talk not just at the official monthly meetings, but personally. A lot of phone calls and emails are traded, and a lot gets done between the monthly board meetings, and that's really something that I've seen change, and it's great to have Michael Eckert returning. Chris Kelly, our webmaster, also is returning. And Eric couldn't be here today, but Eric Lindenblum, he's the guy that has wrote our software for the new scoring system. It's working out really great. I hear from the head judges, and he is tirelessly working on it. He's meticulous. Anytime there's a problem, he's right there to fix it within a matter of hours, if not minutes, that he'll return inquiries and stuff. And he doesn't want to take any credit or anything yet until he's finally finished off everything. And it's worked really well. And over the years, it's been developed, you know, like Anthony was the guy that wrote the first scoring program, mid-90s, and it's kind of antiquated, but it still works, you know, and it's pretty basic in its interface. So this new one is modern and it runs on modern computers, and the interface is much more intuitive, and there's the head judges at each of their annual meetings, when they get together, they all submit new ideas, and it really looks like it's working good. So Eric has had a lot to do with that. Now we have a new person, Frank Beal, who is going to run for a board member position. And I know Frank and Jane fairly well, and Frank has done a whole bunch of stuff all along side by side with Jane. It's kind of, we're very lucky to have Jane and Frank. It's kind of a package deal, but now Frank is going to officially come up to be a voting member of the elected. So we still have a space or two open. So at this time, we traditionally make a call out to the members that are here. Is there anybody else that would like to nominate another member in good standing or nominate themselves?
Boy, the whole room just shifted backwards.
What can I do?
Say that.
Okay, so nominations officially stay open until next Friday night, I believe, at midnight they close. So we will take nominations, just get a hold of me or anybody else on the board to submit those. So I think that does it for this year's nominations. And again, thank you to all of the nominees and the returning board members. This volunteer organization is really pushed ahead forward. Great strides have been made over the last like half a dozen years since I've been around, and it's due in part to really a lot of work behind the scenes, and nobody knows, you know, how much volunteerism really has helped us and stuff. So I'd like to thank the board members that I've been associated with. Great job. I'm proud to work with you guys, and you've really done a lot.
Hey,
I'd
you
like to
too,
nominate
Greg.
my father.
What's that?
I'd like to nominate my father for the board.
Are you?
He'll have my support, so.
Okay, Terry O'Neill. Terry O'Neill's going to come out.
Second that, Mark.
Thank you, Terry.
Somebody get this man to retire, please.
Terry accepted that.
Okay, so that does it for nominations. Again, keep them coming in. We got about a week to go. So thanks again, everybody, for stepping up to.
Chris has something in the back.
Oh, Chris. Gonna go? Okay, so the nominees submit a 250-word bio and a photo of themselves. I'll send those on to Chris, the webmaster. Then approximately the start of December, we will hold an electronic election. We've been using Election Buddy over the years, and it's not very much money. It costs about $100 or maybe $150. They're gonna run roughly till about the third week in December. A few days after Christmas, they'll close. It'll all be posted. The main thing is that you need to have, number one, your dues paid to receive a ballot. And number two, we need to have a good email contact, because that's the way that you'll receive your ballot key. And if any of you share an email in your household, we need to know that so we can send to individual an email. So make sure that by today, if you can make sure your membership's up, and to everybody else that's out there too right now, make sure your membership is up and current, and you'll receive a ballot for this year's election. Incidentally, the officers serve for a 2-year term, and the bylaws state that you can run for a maximum of 3 2-year terms. So that's what we're seeing. Bob?
Yeah, I can accept membership dues.
Payments, right.
Back there, I've got the seat book, I've got your numbers, so you can hand over the cash. Update yourself.
Yeah, so today we have all of the paperwork ready to go. Okay, that should do it for elections and nominations. Thank you, everybody.
This is the time in our agenda that we open the floor up to member comments and suggestions going into our season 2015. Did you not hear me, or you have not? Did I see your?
Come on, man, can I make a comment? We just tallied.
Do we need a drum roll?
No.
Okay. You're getting one anyway.
It's not that they think a drum roll is appropriate, they just like beating up for each Thank you very, 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 very kindly. Those raffle buckets brought in $430.
Wow.
And we'll get around to pulling the winners here shortly on that. Your really, really kind pledges over here on the silent auction. I'll tell you what the total is in a minute. The humidor, Darren Canberg. The primer kit, Carolyn Adams.
Look at this dog.
The cake bread line sprinkled by heart, let it go. Ron McGee. What's your barbecue package? Dan Jensen. Southern Cluster Rubs, Dale. Oh, speaking of wines. The Alex Bradley Cigars, JD goes along with mine. The Big Papa Smokers Basket, Dale.
We paid 75 over retail.
Yeah. That's about Gilly. The Rogue Tyrant Cigars, that's the new one out from Gurkha, by the way. Ken, you got a box of nice cigars.
All right, so.
And we're going to see them at the Suquamish Clearwater Casino Resort because the winner of that package is Mr. Bob Ferguson. You all generously handed over to Feed the Troops. $1,660.
Yeah.
Thanks to Michelle
And Buddy.
and to Pitmaster B for working those raffles.
I recommend to Alicia that I can look up membership status on your computer.
I'll help you.
Whoever, okay, yeah, she does.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. I actually was saying, that's my computer. The computer can do it. You just have to set in front of it. Ticket 140.
Back to the red ticket.
Yeah, back to red.
140.
140.
Are you holding up your?
Are you the winner?
Oh, he's sending that mental message. That's what he's doing, 100. $108.
Oh. That's nice. 108.
Not bad.
Here you go. What do you think?
Get the one.
Oh, no. You can't drink one. Get the big balls. Balls?
Balls.
Balls.
Yes.
But big balls.
For all my water. We're all gonna love this one.
We gotta stop a minute. I've gotta take care of a housekeeping problem.
Explain it.
I will, but I think they'll recognize it.
Oh, we wrote that off for Dick.
I told you I was gonna get this, come hell or high water.
Which cake?
It was hell. No, we had an event earlier in the season in Oregon. We had added a third place to the trophy. That's what we do for the count. Well, they had ordered the trophies and actually had made the second place what we call the third. So we had only awards for first place and third place at the event. Well, then I couldn't get a hold of anyone that would tell me where they got it, what they looked like, what to order. And it is taking me literally from June until now, but just the 3 weeks ago to get this, so. Come on.
Well, thank you very much. It's very pretty. It's a very pretty award.
The stands on the other half.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I was almost to the point of putting wanted posters up. Have you seen who does these awards? I'm gonna read a couple more numbers and then we're gonna move on to our awards. 118. Okay. Darius, are you willing to trade your choice of that for whatever I would be able to award you? Having no idea what it might be or who. Tick, 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 tick. Okay. At the end of the day, you will be leaving with a 6-foot folding table that is currently being used to hold our trophies.
And it has curved legs.
And it has curved legs, so.
Thank you.
Sorry. Those there, whoever.
So we draw some raffle.
Yes. Those are. We might just happen to.
The guy who bought the other cigars can't pull a ticket out of here.
Come on, Ken, I'm counting on you.
Judy. All right, Judy, pull a ticket out of here. This is for the Victor Sinclair Sumatra cigars. Get out your raffle tickets.
I got it.
The number, I'll take the top one. The number ends in 672. Do we have a winner?
Yeah, we do. Give me
Are you
your.
Hope I get in the cycles.
I think I'm gonna become a chili cook, so I can smoke a couple of them.
One more.
Sure.
The Butcher Barbecue Grinder set. Heather, one ticket. All right, let's see what we got here. The last three numbers are 690. Do we have a winner? Right, okay. She's yours. The other one?
Sure. Why don't we get them all done?
How about the Brighter kit? Jenny, pull one for the Brighter kit.
Please.
Ends, please, ma'am. Number 732.
Woo!
Winner, chicken dinner.
132.
Red ticket 136. Red ticket 136.
Friday again?
And you all, and many of you bid on the Big Papa's Ultimate Barbecue Basket down there. We have the exact same contents, a duplicate right here.
Dig
And
down.
that's what you put your
Dig down.
tickets in here for. Michelle, pull out a ticket. You sold it, kid.
Red ticket 108.
Let's see what we got. Uh-oh, somebody put initials on the back.
JD?
I think I know who this belongs to. Ticket ends in 7, 4. Carolyn?
Red ticket 133.
Oh, I know what you is.
Red ticket 108.
Oh, that was the dog.
Red ticket 146. 144.
I'm 144.
Well, then get up.
And 101. Red tickets are done. Frank, get back there. To the, yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on to why we're all here anyway, other than, the lovely deli lunch. This year we had more 200s than we've had in my history, which is fairly recent. But within the last 5-6 years, we had Hug a Hog, Painted Hills Beef Challenge at North Plains this year, Barking Boys, Chef's Challenge in Langley, Mad Dogs Dutch Oven Dessert, Malala. Yes, it was Christine. Smoking Box, Ribs in Stevensonville, Rusty's Barbecue, King of the Grill Whistler, Drumming Up Barbecue Chicken in Coeur d'Alene, and Home on the Range Barbecue Chef's Challenge at Orange Sealand. We also, this season, had 2 different teams at 2 different events do something that, as far as we know, it has never happened before. Because of their totals and because we've gone from a 9, now we count the 10, it wouldn't have been possible for them to get these high scores. We had, and I'm going in order of their appearance at the event in the year, and also the number. Moving the Chains at Smokehouse Summit scored a 7.16, which is
Nearly perfect.
Nearly perfect.
97%.
And they're not here, and I'm not over there, so Greg, can you go to the table? Lift up the secret curtain there. And then, we were all reeling from that. And then at an event later in the season, we had a team beat that at Clearwater. We're trying, we've got a few secrets. So if up the queue would come up. They did a oof done, yeah, that was the first time I did it wrong, was, of course, in front of everybody. Yeah. Yeah, take
That's gonna be a great picture too.
You know. Good
job.
Good. Great.
Do you want to? Yeah, I'm gonna need the trophy. So do you want when I mean, just. You'll have to wait till I tell them, but we're doing the overalls right now. So we'll start out. Okay, so we're starting on our awards for the individual meets. And for pork, I asked that the 5th place through 2nd place teams, if you're here, to stand so we can acknowledge you. Up to Q. I did it on purpose that time. I like hearing you guys repeat it when I do it wrong. Okay. 4th place, Dances with Smoke. Place, Lake House Barbecue. Second place, Bad Bones Barbecue. First place, Wine Country Q.
All right.
By the way, I learned. I pay attention.
For brisket. 5th place, Drumming Up Barbecue. 4th place, Moving the Chains. 3rd place, Dances with Smoke. 2nd place, Wine Country Q. And 1st place, Bad Bones Barbecue. For chicken. 5th place, Dances with Smoke.
Stole your thunder, my friend.
4th place, Drumming Up Barbecue. Third place, Bad Bones Barbecue. Second place, Lake House Barbecue. First place, Wine Country Q.
I finally got a job I can do.
If I had a
For ribs, Doolin Jay's Barbecue for 5th place. Fourth place, Dances with Smoke. Third place, Bad Bones Barbecue. Second place, Lake House Barbecue. First place, Wine Country Q.
That was some variety, for God's sake.
Why don't they just move the awards taker to your? I don't know. The trophy's already here.
Yeah. Aerobics after lunch. Our next award is Best New Team of 2014. I hear that.
I was just preparing you.
Yeah. Drum It Up Barbecue. It was a close one. Our next award is Most Improved Team 2014. This year it goes to Mad Dog's Barbecue.
You know how we do this? We win this award every other year. Got it figured out? Oh.
White angle.
All I could see was his black.
Next is our Canadian Total Points Champion, and that's Hell of a Q. Our overall Total Points Champion for 2014 is Wine Country Q.
Hey, you two, wait a minute. Smile.
Right there.
See how bad it
I don't, you can hold it. Go get it.
Good job.
The next award we give out is for the Canadian Judge of the Year. Our Canadian head judges, although they did, I think, almost more events in the United States this year than because they went to Montana, Idaho, was to give out this award because they've worked with him the most. This year it is Kyle Anderson, and I worked with him in Whistler. He's a really nice guy, and he does every event that he can up there. So I'm sorry that I can't give you more description, but great guy. The next award is our Judge of the Year award. I've said this before. I've actually got the words I used last year. It's about arriving early to help set up. Not a glamorous job, but someone has to make those judging packets. It's about encouraging other judges to become more active, which means arrive early, stay late. This year, and I unfortunately, of all the events for him to miss, is this one, because I think he was about at every event he could possibly do. This year, the Judge of the Year is Glenn Elliott.
Yeah. Yep.
The next award we do is in recognition of service. This is the time we take to recognize board members that are leaving the board, completing their current terms. Some are running again, some cannot. Time caught up with me. I would have loved to do something really special. We have a board member that is leaving the board because term limits. He can't serve anymore. It's not that he wants to leave the board. He's not allowed to by our bylaws. That's not going to stop him from helping out. He's going to be there all the time, working events, doing what he can and anything he can to help the association. He's actually the person that I'll blame for getting me involved in barbecue in the first place. So Greg, I wished I could give you a car or, even, even a single rose or something. I have nothing for you but my undying gratitude. So thank you. Yes, from someone who knows. Yeah, you get away for a little while. So I don't know if you guys want to get up and walk and do this as you've seen us before. No, I mean get your award, but I would like to recognize Tom Wallen, Pat Menak, Greg Fugino, Rob Reinhardt, Michael Eckert, Chris Kelly, Eric Linda Bloom. And I'd like to give you all cars too, but it's just a little plaque, so deal with it.
As last year's recipient of the Charlie Johnson Award, they've asked me to give out this year's, which is great. I'd like Ed to come up, Ed Levesque, because I didn't personally know Charlie, but Ed knew him very well, and talk a little bit about who he was. Why do we have this award?
Back in the old days when I barbecued every Thursday in the summertime at my wrecking yard, Lake Sauter Wrecking in Tacoma, this mess cook that lived down the street came by to get some free food. And he was so ambitious and good at what he did. I took him in as my partner cook at my every other Thursday event. And his name was Charlie Johnson. And this fellow was a Army mess cook, retired. And he was one of the best. He was from Louisiana. He was one of the best Cajun cooks that I'd ever cooked with. And also he could barbecue anything. So who are we going to give this to?
Yep. Somebody who
and you really have a lot to stand up for because Charlie was.
Charlie was somebody who gave and gave and gave to this organization and to all of us. And so this year's recipient is, we're so fortunate to have this person as part of our organization and somebody who just keeps giving and giving and giving. Years ago when I was president of this organization, we get calls from the military saying, hey, can you come feed the troops? And so it was like a weekday. And we never really had anybody to kind of help coordinate it and put it together. This person has stepped up over and over again and helped to organize and really put us in that position to be able to do this, let alone the work at OSO and the disaster relief. He also stepped up 3 years ago. The Drippings from the Pit has been around for a very long time, and it's kind of it's kind of a thankless job. It's one of those where you got to call and push and complain and nag people to put in
pictures and articles, and I've done newsletter editing before, and it's a pain in the ass. And this person stepped up 3 years ago, and has done just a yeoman's job of making our newsletter much better. Every year it keeps getting better and better. So we're very fortunate to have him. He also foolishly decided to run for secretary 2 years ago and has served us well. I think he's gotten tired of keeping the minutes for our meetings. And so he's saying, screw that, I'm going to run for vice president, which is the position I'm leaving. So this year's recipient is Pat Maddox.
You know what? Nobody does anything good alone.
Okay, I've just gotten the bill. Anybody else want me to order anything? By the way, there's more brownies over here. I'm just saying.
Fifth of make your smart be good.
Keystone Light.
Our final awards. Team of the Year. Come up when your name is called.
I'm gonna sit on seat.
No, if you never call their name, they gotta sit, right?
Third place. Lake House Barbecue.
Yeah!
Second place is Bad Bones Barbecue. Pat, I just realized you have not made the announcement regarding the party afterwards. You want to do that now?
Somebody have a party? Casual reception for all of you who care to attend. Room number, suite number 502 in the hotel. We're going to join, we're going to adjourn here obviously by about 2:45. And if you give us about 45 minutes, because we got to get out of here, load out, and get over there and load in and everything else. So we'll probably convene at about 3:15, 3:30. What time is the party over?
I haven't decided yet. It depends.
Did you say something about appearance? Part of BYOB, you had time to grab a six pack or something. Room 502.
502.
In the hotel.
Walk in the hotel up front and go to the right from the desk.
Yeah, only one elevator goes to the 5th floor, so you have to go to the one that's way off to the right.
And those of you who were the winners of the silent auction items, if you would please come settle up with Christine. And that also includes, if you care to, you can fill out an IOU, and we'll get that processed. But please do that before you leave here today. And then, of course, collect your prizes.
I brought the Sharpies, for those who pass out, we can hand them out.
Are we ready? Our final award for today is our team of the PNWBA Team of the Year for 2014.
Shocker.
No idea. I am.
Dramatic Cause, White Country Q. It actually can double as a weapon. That one.
Wait a minute, doesn't Ronna have to sing Nobody Does It Better Now?
Wow.
That's the best speech I ever heard.
Oh my God, JD's speechless.
I don't know what to say. It's,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Wow, we started this 5 or 6 years ago with, you know, backyard and with a friend, and then Ron and I just kind of teamed up and said, this is fun. It's still fun, and we'll keep doing it until it's no longer fun. But
Oh, no.
thank you all.
Okay, I think we've gotten the announcements out of the way. I'm not hearing any other business before us. Is there time to adjourn? Anybody gonna complain?
Second.
I move we adjourn.
Yeah. Take care, thank you for coming, and come on over to 502. And be careful going home.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jay.
It's on the website. It's on the website. You have to go to that screen in the forum. I got a copy of it. They're trying to find it right now. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Can't do that by myself.